Hello, Algebra 1. Today we are going to be reviewing Unit 4, and we are also going to do an overall review with some multiple choice questions. So to start off, Unit 4 was the larger unit that we just finished a week or two ago, where we're doing systems of equations. This is where we're solving with elimination, which is also called linear combination, or substitution. Okay, so for this first problem, you should notice that the y is already solved for, so we're going to take this x plus 2. This problem is probably better set up for substitution, so we'll go ahead and do that. We'll plug it in. Oh, and you should know this at this point, but right now you should be copying these problems and these answers into your note sheet. You are going to show the sub your completed note sheet when you're done. And then you're going to work on homework, either homework for my class or homework for another class, okay? Because you have finals next week, okay? This is crunch time, so please make sure you're being productive. Okay, back to solving. We're going to plug in, instead of a y, we're going to put our x plus 2. Okay, and then our next step, we will distribute. 4 times 2 is 8. And next we would combine like terms. 1x plus 4x is 5x. Okay. And then next we're trying to get x by itself, so we'll subtract our 8 on both sides. 8 minus 8 is 0. Be careful, this is not no solution. You still have an x, so we can divide by 5. And 0 divided by 5 is 0. Okay, so we do have a solution here. We're going to go ahead, we're going to plug our 0 back in up here. And y is equal to 0 plus 2. So y is equal to 2. That means that our intersection point would be at 0, 2. Okay, and that is substitution. All right, let's try it again. This time, you're going to notice there isn't really a good variable to solve for, and your equations here are already in standard form, so we would want to solve by elimination. And you could cancel your x's or your y's. I'm going to choose my y's because I already have a positive and a negative, and 3 and 4 I can both make become a 12. So the 3, I'm going to multiply it by 4 in order to get a 12, and the 4 I am going to multiply by 3. Make sure that you multiply everything. Okay. So we're doing a lot of distributing here. So I have 16x, 4 times 3y is 12y, 25 times 4 is 100, 3 times 5x is 15x, minus 12y, notice our cancellation will occur here, and multiply again. Okay, and again, with elimination, we are always adding. Okay, 16x plus 15x is 31x. 12y plus negative 12y adds to 0. 100 plus negative 69 is 31. And then I will divide by 31 on both sides, and I'll get x equals 1. Okay, and now you can pick whichever equation you want to plug that 1 back into. I'm going to go ahead with the top one. So I'll plug my 1 in for x. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, and now we're solving. So I will subtract my 4 on both sides, and hopefully this looks familiar because we didn't do this too terribly long ago. 25 minus 4 is 21, and divide, y equals 7. Okay, so our final answer will be 1, 7. Okay, so there was an example of substitution and elimination. And now let's try another one. Number 3, I think we should use elimination again, just because there isn't really a very good variable to solve for. But you should notice that you're not in standard form. We are going to have to subtract this 12 over first. Okay, our first equation is just fine, because you have your x and your y on your one side and your number on the other. But like I said, the second equation, we will have to subtract that 12 over, so it will now be a negative 12. All right, and then what you choose to cancel is up to you. You can cancel x's or y's. I'm just going to cancel x's this time. I'm going to make my 5x become a 10x by multiplying by 2. However, remember we do need to have opposite signs. So since this is a 10x, I actually need a negative 10x. So I'm going to change this to a negative 2. Okay, and now I'll multiply. Negative 10x. Negative 2 times 2y is negative 4y. 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. And my other equation I'm just going to bring down. Okay, and again, elimination, I'm always adding. And what you should notice here is that when you add, your x's are going to cancel along with your y's. So we have a 0 equals negative 24 plus negative 12 is negative 36. Is 0 equal to negative 36? Well, no, it is not. This means that we have no solution. Okay, and graphically, this would mean you have parallel lines. Okay, all right, this next one we're solving by graphing, so make sure you have your calculator. I need to open mine up. Okay, great. So solving by graphing, just like we finished with linear inequalities, whenever you graph, you must always solve for y. So our first equation here is just fine, but our second equation, we will need to divide everything by 2. Okay, solving for y whenever we graph. So negative 3x plus 2. All right, so go ahead to your y equals here and clear out whatever you've got, and we're just going to type each of these in. Remember, your x is right up here next to alpha. Don't lose that x because your graph will look totally different if you don't have it. You'll just have a horizontal line. Okay, so take a minute to have that typed in, and then when you're ready, press graph. And we will just draw a sketch of that. I'm going to do this. Oops, that didn't do what I wanted it to. Oh no. There. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, there's my graph. So you have an intersection point. Let's put a dot there. And now we're going to find that intersection point by doing second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. Notice you're not done until it says intersection. Again, one more time. That's second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. We will always round to the nearest hundredth, so this will be 1.18 because your 6 moves your 7 up, comma, negative 1.53 because our 9 moves our 2 up. Okay, and that is your intersection point. That's a 3. All right, very good. Let's move on. Next. The local movie theater charges $5 for students and $8 for general admission. If 280 tickets were sold on Friday afternoon for a total of $1,691, how many of each ticket were sold? So if you remember, one thing that we always have to do for these types of problems is identify our variables. So I am going to say that I have S for number of student tickets and G for number of general admission. Okay, so another thing I reminded you of when we did this unit was your money always goes in your same equation together. Our first equation will be an S plus G equals a total of 280 tickets. And then my second equation is going to be 5S because it's $5 per student plus 8G because it's $8 for general admission equals my $1,691. Okay, now how you choose to solve this is up to you. I already did 2 elimination problems, so I'm going to do substitution for this one, but if you would like to do elimination while I do substitution, that is 100% fine. I'm going to solve for S. That means I'm going to subtract the g over. So that's a negative g plus 280. Again, if you prefer elimination, it is completely fine to do elimination right now. Okay, so then I'm going to plug this guy in for s. Regardless of the method, you should get the same answer. Okay, now since I'm doing substitution, I'm going to distribute next. 280 times 5 is something. 1400. Okay, and then I combine my like terms. Negative 5g plus 8g is 3g. Okay, I will subtract my 1400. $1691 minus 1400 is $291. And finally, I will divide by 3. Which gives me 97. Okay, so that's how many general admission tickets I have. Remember, there were 280 tickets total. So the fast way to figure out how many student tickets is just to subtract. 280 total minus the 97 I already have gives me that students will be 183. Okay, and then remember, we're going to write a sentence for this type of problem. So I'm going to just say there are 97 general admission and 183 student tickets. Okay, and there you go. Ta-da! All right, so that was your Unit 4 review. Now we're going to transition to some overall review. So if you flip the page, you should have overall review number 2. So we're going to go through both this and at least part of overall review number 3. Okay, because again, we did lose a day of final exam review, so we're trying to make some of it up. So which graph is not possible for a system of linear equations? Well, linear meaning line, and so the one that does not make sense would be D, a curve. We can have parallel lines, we can have one line, but we cannot have, or we can have two lines crossing, but a curve would not be a solution for a system of linear equations. Number 2, after 1 month, Terry has $400. After 11 months, she has $1,000. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. So the first thing you are going to have to do is write 2 ordered pairs. We'll have 1, 400. Money is always dependent, so it will come second. Okay, 11, 1,000. We will need to find our slope or our rate by doing our jumps or our slope formula. 400 to 1,000 is 600. 1 to 11 is 10. Remember, you are dividing. 600 divided by 10 is 60. Okay, so that's my slope. If you notice, you do not have a starting point. You do not have a 0 comma, so we're going to pick whichever point we want. I'm just going to pick that one. We have our slope, we have our point. Now we will have to do point slope form. Y, the opposite of my y coordinate, equals my slope times x, and then the opposite of my x coordinate. This is point slope form, and now to get slope intercept form, I need to distribute and solve. 60 times x is 60x, 60 times -1 is -60, and then remember, slope intercept is where y is solved for, so I will add my 400 over. -60 plus 400 is a positive 340. Okay, so our answer should be B. Okay. All right. Next, determine the type of line given the points. So what I want you to notice specifically is that in these points, the x's are the same. Okay, that means that the equation of this line would be x equals -3 because both of the x's are -3. And if you recall from Hyvix, when you have an x equals line, that means you have a vertical line. So this would be our answer. Okay. Likewise, using some Hyvix here, what is the equation of the horizontal line? Well, first thing you need to know that this is the horizontal line. Next, you need to know that horizontal lines are y equals, so that means we can get rid of a and c right away. And then lastly, check to see what value the y is going through. It's going through 4, so D would be your answer. Okay. All right, number 5. A workout plan can be modeled by C equals 40 plus 2V, where C is the total cost and V should say is the number of visits. Identify the domain. All right, so domain is referring to your X value. And in this case, your X values are really V for number of visits. So this is asking you about what type of visits you can have. We need to have visits be greater than or equal to 0. That means the visits are positive. So we obviously can't have negative visits, so we're going to get rid of C and D. All real numbers means we can include decimals. We cannot include decimal visits. Okay, you either go or you don't. So A would be our answer. Integers greater than or equal to 0 because we cannot have decimals. Okay. All right, number 6. To solve this, let's go ahead and distribute. Okay, and then I like to move my smaller x, so I will subtract my 6x on both sides. 12x minus 6x is 6x. All right, and now I will subtract my 8 on both sides. 8 minus 8 is 0. Remember, this is not no solution because you still have an x. Let's divide by 6 and get x equals 0. Okay, and there you go. That's your answer. All right, so what I would like you to do now is flip the page. When you flip the page, you should see this Unit 5A review. We are not going to do that. Instead, we're going to flip to the back to where overall review number 3 is. Okay, so just flip the page until you find this, and we're going to do some of these as well. Okay, all right, so number 1, which inequality represents the following graph? So the first thing I want you to notice is that your line is dotted. That means that we should be able to eliminate D right away because you can see you have that equal to, which would be a solid line. Okay. Another thing is that our slope would be up 3 over 1. That's a slope of 3, which means we can eliminate C. So these answers look very similar, but you're going to notice your symbol is different. One is a greater than and one is a less than. So think about your shading. This shaded down, so you should have a less than symbol. So B should be our answer. All right, number 2, this one's sneaky. We've got to be really careful. To solve, yes, we can divide by 2. We will not flip our symbol because we're dividing by a positive, and we'll get x is greater than 6. And so what everybody wants to do is they see the 6 and they're like, yes, this is the answer. But this is saying that your x is greater than 6. 6 is not bigger than 6. You are looking for the number here that is bigger than 6, and that number is 7. 7 is greater than 6. So A is your answer. Okay. Which of the inequality symbols below means the same as this guy right here? This is a greater than or equal to. Okay. So let's just go down the line. At most. Okay, remember you can have at most 2 cookies. That means 2 or less. That's a less than or equal to. So it's not that one. More than. More than would be like a greater than. Okay, but not an equal to. So not going to be that either. At least. you have to be at least 16 to drive. At least means greater than or equal to. So C is our answer. The last one, no more than, that means it's not more, it's less. Less than or equal to. All right, 4. Which of the following would represent infinitely many solutions in a system of linear equations? So infinitely many solutions, 2 lines on top of each other, absolutely. That means IMS. The answer 0 equals 0, absolutely again. 0 equals 10, this one would be no solution. So what we want is actually answer D, which says that both A and B are answers.
Carrie Thomas, please report
5 we are going to skip because we just talked about systems. Plus that one takes a little while. 6, find the X-Intercept. So we talked about this, I think, yesterday actually. Remember the X-Intercept is where your Y coordinate is 0. So you're just going to plug a 0 in for there. That'll actually cancel out this whole guy. And we just have 4x equals 60. And then we can divide by 4. 60 divided by 4 is 15. Okay, and then you just need to make sure you choose the correct one. The X is 15, so it would be C. All right, let's flip it again. Number 7, solve the system by graphing. We also just did this one. You would want to add your 5x over in order to get the y by itself and then do your second trace 5. But we'll skip that for now. Okay. All right, 8, find the slope. So slope again, we can do our jumps or we can use our slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y is always going on top. It would be a 12 minus 8 over, careful, negative 4 minus negative 4. 12 minus 8 is 4. Negative 4 minus negative 4, or negative 4 plus 4 is a 0. So this 0 is on the bottom. If you don't remember, type it in. You're going to get an error. That means this slope is undefined. This would be representing a vertical line, okay? And you can tell because both of your x's are negative 4s. So x equals negative 4 would be the equation because of Heivick's, and you'd have a vertical line. But the slope itself is undefined. All right, we're going to do the last 3, then you're done. How would you eliminate the y's in the system of equations? All right, so I want to cancel these guys. So one thing that I would do is I would just figure it out for myself first, and then I'd find the answer. So I would probably multiply these guys by 4 on top and 3 on the bottom to get 12s, but then one of those is going to have to be a negative to make one a negative and one a positive. So I'll try that. But definitely a negative, definitely a positive. Multiply the top equation by 4 and the bottom equation by 3, and then add the equations together. This isn't going to work because they're both positives, so no. Multiply the top equation by 3 and the bottom equation by negative 4. And then add the equations together. So your numbers are right, but if you look, if you multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by negative 4, you're not going to get 12s for both. You're going to have different values. So these orders were switched here. C is the one that we're looking for. The top by negative 4, the bottom by 3, and then we're adding the equations together. D is incorrect because if we just add them right now, you won't have any cancellation occur, which is the whole point of what we're trying to do. Okay. All right, 10. Kayla is making cookies with her mom this weekend. The recipe calls for 2 cups of chocolate chips for every 5 cups of flour. Kayla wants to expand the recipe to have 3 cups of chocolate chips. Which proportion could be used to find the number of cups of flour she needs? Okay, so it actually doesn't matter what order you go in for your first fraction. We're going to set up a proportion here, as you can see. I'm going to put 2 cups of chocolate chips for every 5 cups of flour. So I'm going to put chocolate chips on top and flour on the bottom. And then we are told that we want 3 cups of chocolate chips. So since the 3 is chocolate chips, that has to go on top where I put the other chocolate chips. And the flour is what I'm trying to find, so that would go on the bottom. So I'm looking for 2/5 equals 3 over x, which is B. And our last one, we want to write the equation in standard form. Ask yourself, what form is this in right now? If you said point slope, you were correct. So to move to standard form, first we will distribute. -3 times 2 is -6. Then we'll move to slope-intercept form. So we'll add our 5. -6 plus 5 is -1. Do not pick A or B, actually. Those are in slope-intercept form. We are being asked for standard form. Standard form is when your x's and y's are together, like here, okay, like when we were doing elimination. So what we will still need to do is add 3x back over. And when you move that 3x over, it's going to be a positive. And you should have this, which is C. All right, fantastic. I hope this review was helpful for you. What you want to do now is to raise your hand or go over to the sub, and if you could show them that you did complete your notes, they will check you off so I can give you credit. What you want to do then is to move to your homework. Your homework tonight is number 56 to 72. In your packet. Okay, please remember on Monday you have a practice final. So we'll be going over homework questions, we'll do a little review, and then you'll take that practice final. Tuesday we'll go over your practice final, and then finals are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you are almost there. Please be productive for the next however long you have left in class. If you don't want to work on math, that's fine, but you need to be working on something until pack-up time. Okay? Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a great weekend.